Yeah, we're live. We're live once again. This is Joey B. I'm over here at Blind Knowledge. BlindKnowledge.com is the spot that's hot, and we are going to be live so soon. Don't forget it. It's BlindKnowledge.com. You can check us out over on Instagram. We are The Blind Knowledge. We're on TikTok at The Blind Knowledge, and we're all over the place on YouTube, Twitch. We feature podcasts, we feature live streamers, we feature digital content creators, we feature musicians, and today we feature actually a comedian by the name of Tony Nagy. You got to check her out. She's over on TikTok, taking the TikTok world by storm. She's so funny. She's over on Instagram as well. So you can check her out on TikTok, check her out on Instagram. And right now, you can check her out here on Blind Knowledge. Check her out. Here we go. Hey, Tony.
Has done it again.
Hey, let's get down. I was looking for that music, but I couldn't find it. So welcome.
Would have been a great reference.
And a great lawsuit to be sued by that that group and that licenser. Probably I'm guessing a music label that has that one, but that's okay. Well, maybe we'll work it in later. So Tony. Good. Let's get down, Tony, the comedian. Hey, so thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. How are you?
Yo, I'm all right. I'm all right now. I'm pumped now because it's been months since we've been talking. It's been months since I found your TikTok and I laughed and it got me out of bed. I was like, holy shit, she's funny. I gotta ask her for an interview. But first I need to have a network and a show. So I got the network and the show going, and now we have the interview. So that's pretty cool.
I feel honored to be part of that impulse and impetus.
Yeah, you got me going. You were the spark. You were the spark for me, for sure. You and some others as well. We got to get right into it, though. You are a hilarious comedian using physical comedy, but also this informative approach. Where did you start? Like, where did your comedic journey start? Were you young? Was it recent? Give us some overlay on
that. So I was a philosophy person in college. I think that really kind of shaped a worldview where you have to question everything. And when you start questioning all things, at least for me personally, it led me into a bit of like a nihilistic, depressive path because I was like, oh my fucking God, what is reality? And so I think as a way of coping and dealing with the harsh suffering of existence, I just started to lean into the absurd of it. And I think for me personally, when I can see the absurdity and laugh about it a little bit, or at least acknowledge it, then I'm able to talk about things that are maybe like painful in the heart or painful in the brain, but not take it so seriously where it puts me like in an oppressive and depressive state.
That's interesting.
But I started off with sketch comedy.
Wow.
That was my like first kind of jam. Beginning with YouTube and then Facebook, and Facebook was more of a thing.
Oh, yes. Because when it was awesome.
Remember when Facebook mattered?
Yes.
I know they keep telling us it matters, but I'm like, does it though?
Not anymore. No. It did when I had an .edu email and I was still in college and it was the Facebook. Yeah, it mattered then. But then when my mom and dad got on there and my grandma and then,
something about it.
No.
So I did. I think the thing about sketch comedy that is fun and exciting is you get to hide behind a character. And there was something really freeing about creating these characters. And I love sketch comedy. And I think it is a really interesting platform for cultural commentary. And it took me a while to get on board with just talking directly to a camera in a more solo stage, Instagram, TikTok kind of way, and not be with like another human being that I was engaging with, and to purely just engage to a camera and have that feel authentic and not like a crazy person, like by yourself talking
that's
to
true.
A phone. And that took me a minute to make that transition.
Yeah, that must be tough. Did you put like a name? Did you name the phone or maybe a label with a smiley face or something on there?
Well, I think what I started doing is I started doing it high.
Okay.
Yeah, I would get
Okay.
stoned. And so then there was a uh I was like, okay. And I had this connection to Cypress Hill, and I was like, oh, if I make weed
Okay.
videos, then Cypress Hill would promote my video. So it was kind of, there was this integration that was going, because I was just, looking to get out there more. And so
Hell yeah.
I do think smoking weed was the beginning of me finding an authentic relationship
Hmm.
to the back of my phone.
Hey, whatever works for you, Tony. I mean, shit. Cypress Hill is one of the best ever. I'm representing the 420 as well over here, as
Nice.
always. Yeah, it definitely lightens me up a little bit. It kind of mellows me out, and I'm definitely a proponent of it. I think it should be legal everywhere. I've seen you've mentioned edibles in some of your shorts or TikTok videos, so
Oh yeah.
um, you must be a proponent of it. Where you're living now, is it a positive thing? Is it shunned upon? Because it varies from state to state. Everyone I talk to, it's a different deal.
Yeah, I mean, New Hampshire is so I'm in New Hampshire, so Vermont, Massachusetts, Maine, like we're kind of surrounded by more legalized states.
Yeah, sure. Live free
I
or
think
die.
yeah, it's decriminalized here, but it's not legal. It's not like we have dispensaries here that we can go to.
Okay, okay, not yet.
So, but from like a cultural perspective, I do think New England both has a very Puritan and alcohol based identity, and it's
Yeah,
opening up to weed
yeah.
in a specific way, but
Mm,
it's not exactly normalized. And it's funny, it's
true.
something that I don't, I go in and out of doing, but I'm a very like public advocate of, even whether or not I'm smoking at that time or not. It doesn't really matter to me whether or not I want to be like an advocate, because I do think it's an important topic.
Yeah.
But I always laugh, like going to my kid's school. She goes to like this, like kind of like uptight school, and then I like put all these videos out about like weed and this and that. And like I'm always like, these
Yeah.
parents are not fans of mine, I don't think, but that's
Ooh.
okay.
Not yet. Not yet. Maybe they just haven't been enlightened. I mean, that's what blind knowledge is all about. It's about illuminating that information that's out there that we just kind of don't know about yet, or hasn't registered yet, or maybe it hasn't been given to us. And truthfully, maybe we only know parts of it. So I think, legalization of marijuana, there's so many pluses to it. The tax money that could come in and help out these communities, and the educational system itself, and there's not a lot of negative to it in my eyes, at least. But I can understand how maybe an uptight community could see it that way. We were discussing in the before we came on the air here. I'm from Massachusetts. You're from Massachusetts. There definitely is that Puritan vibe up there, but it's kind of progressive. It's getting there a little bit. They did legalize it over in Massachusetts, so hopefully it comes your way too.
Yeah, Mass and Boston, it is legal. You can go to the dispensaries. I mean, I think it's interesting, the whole Puritan identity that is in the underbelly of New England, because it's there,
Hmm.
and there's also a lot of um there's almost like a glory to suffering. We're like, oh, we got the winner, yo, like we there's something very like sarcastic and harsh about New England people, and when you work hard, I got to work real hard. So I do think there is something counter intuitive about bringing weed, which is a little bit more of like a groovy Northern California vibe. It's like in the East Coast, we wake up with the sun. And like the West Coast is like, they wake up later. They're just a different vibe. So I think that it's interesting to try to integrate what we think as like the New England values with a more laid back weed vibe,
Yeah,
vibration.
yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's actually great because anyone that knows around that area, especially like the Boston area, it's go go go. It's hustle and bustle. It's a big bubble that you live in, and it's just 100% all the time. You got to be on, you got to be ready, you got to be good, and if you're not, you're out. And that's just it's nice to have a little bit of mellow, maybe just take a breath, exhale the beauty a little bit.
Yeah. I always think like, because we wake up with the stock market, and I just think
Oh
the
yeah, we do.
quantum entanglement of the stock market wakes up, the East Coast wakes up, the West Coast wakes up 3 hours later. I mean, I guess if you're like a day trader, you're waking up pretty fucking
Yeah.
early on the West Coast. But the normal person is just, they're not waking up with the capitalist vibe. They're just kind of
Yeah.
waking up. But I do think that waking up and being in the same time zone as NASDAQ and as the stock market, I think it has a psychological impact. I really do.
Absolutely, especially Monday through Friday. Absolutely, I can't agree more. Are you a big trader, or are we going to go on
No,
the
I don't
inside
have
here?
the emotional constitution for it because it's gambling. I
It
will
is
admit,
legal gambling. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
legal gambling. I did go hard on crypto. Like when there was that big crypto
Oh,
dip, I was like, I'm fucking buying in. I
getting
did.
in.
I
Yeah,
bought the fuck into some crypto. I
nice.
tried to look at the more ecological ones like chia, which was incredibly hard to locate and buy. I'm
Yeah,
still a little slow on it, but I think the interesting thing about crypto is like, okay, there is this criticism of it as the environmental catastrophe of it, which I'm not denying. But I have like a couple questions like, what is the environmental catastrophe of just regular fucking money? It's unimaginable. And also, you know, if we shifted our power and how we, powered all of these like mega servers to be powered on sustainable energy, like we
sure.
obviously could, the sustainable energy outlets are there. We just need to plug into them. Then it's
Absolutely.
like crypto is such a better potential solution to our economic tomfoolery that's happening. So I'm going up and down on how I feel about like what to do about money in the future and crypto and
I think.
finances.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's a little bit of both too. I think you gotta. What do they say? You gotta put a little bit into everything. You got to
Diversify.
diversify. Yes, you got to diversify. I have a little bit in crypto, a little bit in some stocks, but both of them are crapshoots. You never know. I mean, Bitcoin could crap out. I don't know. I don't think it will at this point. But besides, Bitcoin and Ether and Cardano is another one. You don't really know what these things are going to do. And then half of them, it's like, what do they do? What kind of value, intrinsic value do they have? Tangible value. Like, what can you do with a Shiba coin?
Yeah, you can own it in a
Sure.
computer, like an NFT.
Right.
They're
What is
all conceptual.
exactly? It's like, what is an NFT? Well, it's a JPEG, isn't it,
It's
or
a
something like
concept.
that? It's
Yeah.
a concept. Yeah, it's basically a Twitter logo at this point, but people are all for it. They're like gung ho. They think, okay, the NFTs are going to be the next big thing. Well, let's maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. It's another crapshoot, in my opinion.
I know I did go into a Gronkowski NFT hole because I was like, well, sports NFTs, maybe
Gronkowski.
that's
Ah,
yeah, like maybe that's where the value will always be maintained in the sports world.
that's
I mean, I don't
interesting.
know about the art world, but something about sports where there's like the fantasy football. There is a whole like
Yeah.
virtual sports existence. And then the cards, you used to have sports cards.
Oh yeah,
So
trading cards. Oh yeah, yeah,
trading
yeah.
cards,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is something I do think from a sports perspective that NFTs might be able to maintain value regardless of the rest of the market. The art thing is cool, and then there's
I
also like
see that.
music NFTs, but
Oh, that's true. That's true. Bands nowadays are starting to launch and drop demos as NFTs, which, as a musician myself, I think that's really cool. I think it's a good avenue to explore, especially nowadays with the way labels are and the
yeah,
industry itself, and just how hard it is, not even just to make money, but to get found, get heard, and even just play a gig these days. It's like you got to find those new avenues, and NFTs, that could be the way to go for music. Yeah.
Well, Wu-Tang was the original. Remember when Wu-Tang just like made one album?
They did. Yes.
And then
Yeah.
they sold just what, I mean, they were like way ahead of their time
True.
with that
As
fucking
usual.
album. I feel like the guy who bought it was the guy, he is in jail. Like, I
Yeah,
think
he
he
was
did
the big
something with,
pharma. He was the big pharma
he was
bro.
the Oxy guy, right?
That asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he had to sell his Wu-Tang album. I don't know what happened with that.
He
I'm
did.
sure they weren't pumped that that was the dude who bought their fucking album, but
They
it,
weren't.
it, it
And
was a
he
good
did sell
idea.
it. Oh, it was a great idea. He did sell
Like
it. He had to sell it.
If Tool wanted to make one album, they would make like, I don't know,
I'm all over it.
millions.
Oh, Tool. Oh my God. One of the best shows I've ever seen was Tool, for sure.
Tool, me too. In Boston.
Oh, you saw him in Boston. Oh, that's great.
Right before the pandemic. It was the last show I went to.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, Maynard can sing. Oh man.
It was a holy experience. I really felt like it was holy.
Yo, some of that music, and especially like Tool, I saw them as Tool and I saw them as a perfect circle. There is like this spiritual aspect, this feeling that, you're just taken out of whatever else is on your mind and you're brought into this beautiful, like spiritual awakening almost that
Yeah.
describe. It's just this uplifting feeling,
No, I remember, they were like, no fucking phones, right? They're like, you pull out a phone, we're taking it away. And I was like, that's very groovy. And then they had like a almost like for the first, like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 minutes, there was a sheet around them, or like it was like some sort of like hanging thing that eventually they pulled back, but it was like foreplay. They were like, look, we'll play the music for you, but like, and then they like slowly undressed. It was really fucking cool. And then at the end, they had such like this beautiful receiving. Like they let everyone do their phones for the last song. And then like afterwards, they just like received the applause in this like super open-hearted way. I was like weeping. I was like, who are these men? These men are unbelievable.
They are. They are absolutely unbelievable. And they're in control of their own destiny. I think that band in particular, they're going to do what they want to do. And if they don't want to do it, then they're not going to do it. And that's how it should be. It's their baby. It's their creative project. It's, it's theirs. It's their creative control. And Maynard.
Yeah. I mean, I think when people get to a certain level of their confidence and they can say no, right? And when you're able to say no, I'm not going to do that, or no, I'm not going to compromise, that is where there's like this very interesting level of artistic freedom. It also, I think, can be a detriment when you have no one in your circle that says no to you, because we've all seen people get super successful and then they get fucking really shitty ideas, but no, everyone's afraid to say no to them because they're famous and successful. So then they start making kind of like crappy shit so it's interesting. Like you get to a level of success where you can say no, and that's really important. But then if no one says no to you, you're not always doing your best work. Where if you're at a level where you're still like hustling, like I don't say no to shit, like someone's like, I'll say yes, and there's something to be said that's like not so good about that either, because I'm always like a little desperate, I'm always like, well, I don't have that confidence to just be like, no, I'm not doing that, man.
Well, it sounds like you have that openness too. You're willing to kind of go out of the comfort box or whatever your base is, because I agree, if you're going to just say yes all the time, or if you're going to have yes men around you, where's the growth? Where is what makes you, and I think having yes men around you, and I had this conversation with someone recently, that if you have people just saying yes all the time, those aren't your friends. Those aren't the people that are going to support you at the end. Those are the ones along for the ride. And when that ride is over, and sometimes it's over real quick, those are the ones that aren't going to answer their phones. Those are the ones that are not going to be around. And it's a shame to think about it that way. It's kind of negative, but it's true. it's true. The ones that are going to support you along the way, the ones that care and that love you and that really want you to do your best, are the ones that are going to call a spade a spade. They're going to call bullshit on you. They're going to say, I don't know, Tony, that shirt, I don't know about that one, you know, or they're going to say, I don't know about Joe, I don't know about that pink whatever you're wearing there, that lanyard.
I love pink on dudes, actually. It's a great look. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Yeah. I'm like, no. More pink.
More pink. Well,
yeah, because it's a bright color. It really brightens the skin.
Oh, that's a good thing to know. I definitely need that with my pale Irish skin for sure.
Oh, pink. Pink's your color.
It's my new
bright
obsession.
Pink. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting because, as like an artist or a creator, your friends and your family are not your fans.
Right.
And that's something that like is interesting to me. I think my most supportive people are strangers. When it comes to my like career, like I think my friends and family are in an abstract way. They're like, yeah, and they'll come to something if I'm like, come to this, they'll come. But it's interesting. It's especially with the internet, we're able to create these connections to people. It's like people DM you and then you become friends. Like I have so many stranger friends I'm never going to meet. Like people will be like, I want to send you. Oh my God. I do a really funny stranger sending me thing story. What? So this girl who's like super sweet, who like always writes me like wicked nice messages. She's like, I'm going through surgery and I've been making all these like weed lollipops. Like, can I send you some? And I was like, oh, that's like super nice. Like, sure. Like, that's really kind. I'm not, anytime someone's like, I want to send you something, I'm never going to say no, because that's energetically, it's like, it's kind. Someone wants to share something with you.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. So she sends me this package and I'm not home. I actually don't use my phone on Saturdays. I have a cell-free Saturday. So I'm not even, no one can reach me. So I'm not home and no one can reach me. And my kid is home alone with her friend. A friend who like came over for a play date. So they're home alone. And I had ordered her things on Poshmark, which is like like person to person.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've tried to resell,
Poshmark, right?
I tried to resell t-shirts and shirts on there. Yeah. Didn't go well.
We're huge into Poshmark because I'm like, I'm not buying you anything fucking new, kid, but I'll get you some used shit on Poshmark. Okay. So she was having this like stuff come on Poshmark. So these packages came. She's like, oh, it's the Poshmark stuff. So she's opening them up and she's finding her shirts or whatever. And then she opens up, her and her little friend open up the box of lollipops. Ooh. And I thank fucking God they were like neon goddamn green. Like the girl made them green and she put the weed leaf on them. And my kid was like, oh, I think these are weed lollipops.
Oh no.
We should not fucking eat them, because she couldn't call me and ask like, what's up with these lollipops? Can I eat them?
You raised her right. You raised her
right. Oh my
right.
God. I was like, I came home. I was like, holy fucking goddess. I can't even imagine a world in which you and your little friend were home alone eating weed pops, like I was like, you're fucking. So that's why it's good to, I mean, like she knows because she watches my videos, but I was like, that is so crazy and so funny. And I'm so glad that she is intelligent to know, like, don't eat anything that mom gets sent in the mail.
Have mom test it first and she'll share.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's smart. It's like the president. If the president gets something in the mail, they test.
Yeah, like let it be. Yeah, just like it's not safe. Mom's mail is not safe.
That's funny. That's funny. So you said you have a daughter. Obviously, we just talked about that. How old is she?
She's 11 and a half. 11. Yeah.
Oh, she knew enough. That's great parenting.
She knew enough. I mean, because it's like we talk about these things because I think it's important, because I don't drink at all. So she's never seen me wasted or anything, but she's seen my videos. And so I explain like what weed is. And like I once got sent psychedelics in the mail. So I was like, I got sent psychedelics, and she was there when I opened it. She's like, what are those? And I was like, oh, they're psychedelics, like
wow, you just told her. That's actually very, very honorable.
I think it really works, at least for me and our family. It works better to just be like upfront about it, because I think that like then when she's exposed to these things with her friends, like she's gonna know she can talk to me about it. That's true. B, like, I don't know if you ever got way too fucked up as a child. Like I had so many nights where I was so fucked up and I felt so alone, and you're like kind of scared. And I'm hoping that I'm creating a lifestyle where if she was ever like too fucked up, she could call me and be like, I'm really too fucked up. And I'll be like, oh, that's totally fine. I'm a great trip guide. Like, come home. Like, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
want to be able to be there for her or her friends or whatever. Cause I mean, most kids experiment with stuff and you want to feel like safe, like, or
Oh yeah.
you can always go home to your mom and feel feel better if you're like tripping. So I
That's the
think
number
that's
one
important.
person. That's the number one person. True, is mom. And yeah, I think that's great. I think that's, from what I've found. I'm not a parent yet, so I don't have a lot of juice in the blender on that. But just being honest, like being able to say, okay, these are psychedelics, and you shouldn't touch them. But just
Yeah.
like not saying, okay, this is poison.
No.
It's like
Yeah,
makes you
this
think,
is
oh, what
something,
kind of poison
this is
is
a
it?
spiritual thing that grown-ups do because
Right.
we need to feel what it is to be you, a child. Like
Again,
you are in a
yes.
magical state of consciousness and awareness. And when you grow up, you lose connection to that. So we do drugs in order to feel the magic that you're already existing in. So you don't need to worry about it. And she's like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
cool.
true. That's true. I never really thought of it that way.
Like
That's
that playfulness of because I remember there was this one time where so I did not smoke. I took a break from like 29 until like for 7 years. I took a break. And so for all of my kids, like young ages, like I was never stoned. Like I never had anything. I was like very fucking sober. Part of which is because I was breastfeeding and you can't like breastfeed stoned because that's crazy. Like someone's feeding off of you, like they're a velociraptor. And then like watching someone eat, you might get hungry and like there's a free one. And
hmm,
like I was like, I'm not
yeah.
fucking
Right.
touching weed. So then I remember then like I finally a couple years later, she's a little older. I started smoking a little bit. And I remember my husband and he had these videos of her as a baby, and she's like on a tractor or something. And he took this like 2.5 minute video of her like on a tractor. And I'm watching this, and he's like really in it, like he was really like into the shots and like really capturing the moment. And they were having this great time. And I was like, oh, I was like, were you like a little stoned when you were doing this? And I could tell he suddenly was like, felt like shame or embarrassed about it. But I just started like crying and he was like, "Oh my god, like what?" And I was like, "I just feel like I like really wasted so much of her childhood like not being high and appreciating it like you were." Cuz he was so appreciating it. And like as a completely sober person, like sometimes you're like on your phone and you're totally fucking distracted, and like if you're like a little high around a kid, you're like, "Yes, let's draw for like an hour." Absolutely. Like I'll play My Little Pony with you. Like you can really connect in this way. That was like really awesome. And so it's funny how it's like all your kids want from you is to connect and to like have you not be distracted. And being with a kid can be a little boring if you're not like totally in your imagination. Cause it's hard to like, oh, I can't imagine. So if you're like a little high, then you can imagine. You don't want to look at your phone. You want to like be with the kid.
Be part of, be in the moment, be
Be in the
fun, be
moment.
on, be a kid again.
Yeah. Yeah, like I felt like from 5 to 8, like it was a really cool way to connect and to just like be
That's
and
interesting.
not because like then I knew she was gonna like stay alive. I was like, okay, like I can
That's good.
fucking chill out a little. I didn't have to be like so like don't touch that. It's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do think it's interesting, like how to really like be playful. That's such an important part of life.
It is. It is. And I like how you mentioned just a little high, just a little stone, not like out of your mind, can't take care of this kid, aren't
No.
responsible. Just like a
Yeah.
little bit of sprinkles on the Sunday. Never
Yeah, like
hurt
a
anybody.
little yeah.
Just a little bit. We're not talking the whole thing, not talking the banana split, just some sprinkles, some jimmies, some
Yeah, a little
jimmies.
too. Oh my god, I was just talking about Jimmy's
Ah,
versus Sprinkles the other
really?
day.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like, Jimmy's, is that just a mass thing? Does anyone else call them Jimmy's?
that's actually a conversation that I've had too recently. That's funny that you bring that up. I think it is. I think it's just our like area of like New England where it's just Jimmy's, but
Jimmy's.
people Jimmy's, yeah, which are anyone listening or watching us right now who don't know what Jimmy's are, those are the black sprinkles, the chocolate sprinkles, basically. So you have your rainbow sprinkles and you have your chocolate sprinkles that you'd put on ice cream. And around Massachusetts
But
and that
why were
area,
they called Jimmy's? Like, what was that about?
I if I had to guess, it's something racial, but I don't
Oh,
even want
that's
to.
not good.
It's not good. You know
It
what?
doesn't that when you said like we only called the brown sprinkles Jimmy's, I'm like, wait a fucking second. We
Yeah, I
did?
used the wrong one there. I used the wrong word there.
Because the multicolored ones were still sprinkles.
Yeah, rainbow sprinkles.
That's fucked up. Yeah, we need to look that up. We need to look
You
that
do.
up.
I'm making a note right now with my handy dandy pen. We'll take a look at that. We will, and we'll circle back. We'll circle back
Because that's an
Absolutely.
important thing to know if we need to like cancel that word. It sounds
That'll be
wrong.
next.
It sounds like I should never say it again.
Yeah.
But I
Now
think I made the authentic shift already to sprinkles. So
oh, yeah. Now I feel like a dirtbag because we're gonna end up canceling one of my favorite things, which is Jimmy's. But that's 2022 for you. We're just canceling everything to cancel it. It seems.
we just gotta
Is
call it what it is.
yeah,
Sprinkles.
that's a good point.
Chocolate
That's a good point.
sprinkles.
Chocolate
Yeah.
sprinkles. And hopefully we can continue to call them sprinkles and not just chocolate toppings and then just toppings and
I
then
think
just
why, yeah, we have to because the
how
thing
deep do
about
we go, Tony?
etymology and words that are kind of interesting is like words are really fucked up. Like, it's
Words are
like
real too. The
if
words matter.
if you're watching television, you're watching programs, right? You're watching television programs, you're programming your mind. You change the channel because you're channeling information. Like the weekday, like your week, and then your week ends. Like that, those are really weird words. And then like hello, like hell. Oh,
I
I
never
don't know.
thought of
There's
that.
so many
That's an interesting
weird
one.
words where we're like
Hell,
possessing each other.
hello.
Oh, it's
Thought
like,
of
wait,
that.
what the fuck is that all about?
Welcome to my hell. Like, welcome to what? I'll go with hi, hey, and how you doing? I think that's a little
Hi sounds better.
hi.
Hey,
Right.
yeah, but hell, oh. I
Thought of
just
that.
think we're always like language is predictive programming. So we're always using words that I think are actually, or we're conditioned to use words that are probably not that beneficial to our cellular
I got you there.
ecosystem.
I think words too, in general, like our language has evolved from so many different languages. Like English really evolved from Latin, and those different influences and all this influx of discoverers and different countries that came over to really mount their pole on New America. But of course, the Native Americans are here too. So, like when I have a group or a meeting, sometimes I call it a powwow. And I don't know if that should be canceled yet. I'm not sure. But
Yeah, I think
I
you're
don't know.
probably not allowed to say that anymore. Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well, 0 for 2, I guess.
Oh for 2, yeah. But you know
But
what?
I
I
didn't
think the
know.
whole
I
thing
had no,
is that we
I had
have
no
to
idea.
just learn, and we can't shame and guilt people for we were learning. We learned something today about the chocolate sprinkles that we're like, oh, that probably has a bad history. So I mean, I think the thing that's interesting to me about like the evolution of our consciousness is that we have to be open that it's an evolution. Like
Exactly.
you have to grow into seeing things in a new way. I mean, if I think about my own sexism, like let's take everyone, let's just focus on sexism because I'm a woman. There were so many things that I am even still discovering to this day I can be really sexist about.
Really?
And I'm a chick,
Even as
so
a woman. Yeah, I'm
as
surprised.
a
Like,
woman, if I'm still dealing with internalized misogyny and sexism, et cetera, Of course, the rest of society is. Of course, men are. You know, like we are all brainwashed and we are all trying to do our best to like figure out the programming. But
True.
I get
True.
frustrated when people get so judgmental for people for being brainwashed. I'm like, no, 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 we all are. Like,
We're all
that's
in
the
it.
whole thing. Like, no one came out of the womb fucking eyes open, ready to
Oh,
just like question everything. Like, no, we were all like, ugh, what did this adult say? Like, sure, I
soaked in the
guess.
placenta. What's going on? I don't know
Yeah,
where
like
I
we were
am.
covered in birth cheese. Like, there's a
Birth
lot.
cheese. Ooh, can I have a burger with a side of birth cheese,
Birth
please? Hold
cheese.
the ketchup. Mm,
I bet it's a
mm.
lot of protein.
I've heard that. I've heard the placenta or birth cheese is now I'm only going to call it that. It's really nutritious. Like women who give birth, they'll actually save the placenta for later on. I guess this is a
Yeah,
thing.
no, you can make pills from it. You can put it into soup. I actually took mine home, but I buried it
Mm-mm-mm.
under a tree. It's
I'm
a
sorry.
placenta tree.
I'm
But my
sorry. Placenta
husband always
tree.
forgets and calls it the placebo tree. He was like, "Oh, there's the placebo tree." I'm like, "It's placenta," but nice try.
Placenta tree, and that thing grew.
It fucking grew. Yeah, it's a blossoming fertile tree.
Beautiful. I need a picture of that for sure at some point, if you
I
don't
did not
mind.
have it in me to be like, I'm gonna consume this placenta because I was like,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
bury it.
Apparently it's the thing to do. I don't even know if it's healthy. I have no idea. We're gonna have to circle back on that one
We're
too.
gonna have to circle back on that. I had a
So
friend
much
who had a
research.
lotus birth, which is listen to this. You give birth and then you keep the baby attached to the umbilical cord and then you pull out or you birth out the placenta. So then the baby is in like the thing and then the umbilical cord is attached to the placenta and you carry them both externally until the belly button falls off and it's called a lotus birth. So she would like be like, "Oh, here's my baby, and like here's the placenta that you have to hold with it." I mean, I that's some next level shit. We should look into that too, but that was wild. I mean, I'm like, that's that's
Oh
wild.
my god, that's funny. Here's my baby, and here's this
And
placenta.
here's
If
the
you could just,
placenta, and it's like, "Oh, what a cute little placenta you are!" Like,
do you
and
put
it
the
looks
placenta in
insane. If you haven't seen it, I highly should just like looking it up. It looks like a lung. It's very like it's kind of like it's got like tree branches, but it looks alive. You know,
a?
like
Well, it is alive, kind of, kind of. So wait,
it.
do they pull the umbilical cord right out of her
No,
at the
you
jump?
birth it. That's what's so you have to push after you birth a fucking baby. Then you have to birth the placenta. Isn't that
Oh,
they don't tell you that, right?
I
After
didn't know.
the doctor was like, "Well, now you push out the placenta." I was like, "Suck a fucking dick, bro. Are you kidding me? Are you
Just
fucking kidding me? I got to birth another thing." It was they do not warn you about that.
I had I wow, I have no words right now. Lotus birth, everyone. Check out Lotus
Lotus birth.
birth.
Yeah, check it out.
We'll
Check it
promote
out.
that. Hey, if you're just tuning in, if you're just listening or watching, or if you're just like, what the hell's going on over here? This is Blind Knowledge featuring Tony Nagy. Tony Nagy is taking TikTok by storm with her physical comedy, with her informative nature, and she's just plain funny, folks. Check her out over on TikTok at Tony Nagy, also on Instagram at Tony Nagy, and I think the TikTok is actually Tony.Nagy. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think you have to put dots in there.
Dots underscores. We'll definitely have it all over the place when this interview airs over here on Blind Knowledge. Tony, how did you go from sketch comedy, like you mentioned before, to this like it's almost like this new thing? And that's why I wanted to have you on because there's a lot of things in the world I like that catch my eye, but the people I want to talk to are the innovators. And I definitely think you're an innovator because you're taking this physical comedy, this like wacky, wavy, like just constantly moving, like the energy's coming out of you, but you're also saying funny things at the same time. And obviously it takes a certain level of energy for sure. You got to be in some kind of shape to do that. But how did you come up with that idea? Like where did that come from?
The first one I ever did was I wanted to do an interpretive dance about what it felt like to get stoned. So
Okay.
like that was the very
That was
first one. Like I kind of
okay.
started off and I was like, okay, I'm taking a hit and like what do I feel? And then I just interpreted danced my feelings for like a half an hour as I smoked, trying to like understand what it was, like trying to express the feeling of being stoned through my body. But like I am a dancer. I do own a dance studio. I
Oh, very
dance a
cool.
lot. Like I actually do dance. So I have this training of dance and I am also, it's funny because people are always like, how are you not out of breath? Because I'm a dance teacher, I'm always fucking talking as I'm dancing because I'm telling people, oh, 5, 6, 7, 8, and like pull up and like drop your tailbone. And I'm constantly fucking working my mouth. So dancing and talking is something that I just am already doing in my life. And I think it kind of like came slowly. I think the second one I did was about CRISPR, like the gene modification.
So cool.
And so I just was like, oh, I thought no one was really talking too much about CRISPR. Maybe this was like 2, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It was pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
Um,
I
And
remember it.
I just was like, oh, I'll just like, I think I was just like at my dance studio and I was like, oh, I'll just like talk about CRISPR and I'll interpretive dance my feelings about CRISPR. And I think the
Okay.
thing that's like, when I said the word interpretive dance in my own head, to me, that meant like moving my body in a way that was like meant to be contorted, comedic, and um, like not trying to look my prettiest or my best. And I think that with comedy, when you're trying to look your prettiest or your best, you're probably not your funniest. And so there was something really freeing to me about like moving in a way where I wasn't trying to like show like, hey, I'm this like really unbelievable dancer, which I'm just like a fine dancer to be honest. But I am a funny dancer, so that's great. And like being able to be funny, it just opened up so much possibility of moving in a way that was like so unself-conscious. Like I wasn't trying to be good. I was trying to be bizarre or like awkward. And trying to be awkward or trying to be bizarre is a lot more fun than trying to be good or trying to be pretty,
I would think
so I think I did one on CRISPR. I did one on like reverse aging, like the science behind how we can reverse aging. And I just kind of like, I would do them more sporadically. And then I did one on the US military being the number one contributor for climate change. And I was like wearing this like prairie dress and I was like in a field. And I don't know, I was just like sunset. I was like, oh, I'll just talk about because I thought that was really a crazy statistic or interesting statistic around the US military and
absolutely.
not something that we talk about that often. I mean, I think it's just when we think about climate change, the US military being like the biggest force to reckon with is a lot to process. Yeah. So I was like, oh, well, if
Yeah.
we do it in this format, it'll be fun. And that video, I mean, it had its own life, especially on like alt-right Reddit, like alt-right Twitter. But
Oh
then
yeah.
it kind of had this different life of people that were defending me. Like some people were like cringe, like, oh, this fucking dumb bitch. And some people were like, I think what she's doing is interesting. And Ben Shapiro, who's a
Oh.
conservative political pundit, he like
Hmm.
did like he gets like pushed all these like liberal videos to then like critique or put his opinion on. And he watched my video and he didn't agree with me. He wasn't like, I 100% agree with what she's saying, but he was like actually kind of kind about my format. He was
Oh.
like, oh, I found that entertaining. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is a way of saying information that maybe people are not going to agree with me, but they will watch it because they're kind of compelled or disgusted or, like, or disarmed or curious. And that
Yeah.
to me was so interesting. It's like, how do I penetrate the psyches of people that do not fucking think the way I do at all?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's That's actually so cool. And that's kind of what I got out of it, sort of, in when I first started listening, because you're bringing up topics that aren't really brought up a lot for whatever reason that probably should. These things are definitely worth talking about. So that automatically caught my attention. And then your mode of transport. You're putting your ass in the air, not in like this really sexual way, but just like
No,
you're
it's like
stretching. It's
I
like,
don't know how I make an ass so not sexual, but I managed to achieve that goal.
well, I didn't mean it like that. I mean, well, I'm not even going to continue on with that
But
because
I'm exactly doing that, but in a bizarro fashion.
it's like this stretching and like this I don't even know what to call it. It's like this movement. It's like the energy is going through your body and it's coming out your mouth and it's coming into our ears, and it's like you're not just standing there with a book and just saying, okay, well, this is why the US government should do so and so, and this is why Christmas should do so and so, and or this is how chicken yoga went. You're actually like getting out there and giving like a not a presentation, but this comedic, comedic presentation, I guess you could say. It's like you're not just out there walking around giving jokes and stuff. You're doing it in like this wacky way that catches your attention. Like, what is she doing? What's she gonna do next? Is she gonna fall? What is this?
Like, is she gonna fall? I mean, I think it's interesting. There's the archetype of the fool, right? And so that is an identity or a personality I play with a lot, which is the fool, because the fool is open and the fool is not saying like, I know and you don't know. The fool is just asking questions. And I think that is like when I watch videos, when somebody is giving information and they're talking down to me, or they're acting like I'm stupid for not knowing this. I mean, it goes back to kind of what we're talking about, cancel culture. It's like, we have to learn. Oh, you and I learned something today. We're like, oh, that's a racial slur when it came to ice cream treats. And we're going to fucking stay away from that racial slur from this moment on. And now we fucking know. But it's like, when you play the fool, all I'm doing is I'm presenting information, I'm asking questions, and I'm not saying that I fucking know. I'm not taking myself seriously, and I don't think I'm making someone feel dumb for not knowing or thinking or talking about this. Right. And I think that is where, to me, the most interesting kind of conversation takes place, because I remember there's this one girl who I follow on TikTok, and I actually had to I like very rarely unfollow people because I like to support people. But every time she spoke as she was just like, you're a fucking idiot for not knowing what I'm about to say. And I was like, man, that's just not gonna seduce people. Like, we have to seduce each other into being curious and asking questions. And that is where I want to put my energy and my vibe, is in curiosity and is in questions and being wrong and being okay being wrong. And then being like, oops, I was fucking wrong. Like, I will move forward. And like, and maybe I'll and I will 100% make another mistake. And that's so more the kind of like cultural connections I want to be making. Is I want to be wrong. I want to be asking questions. I want to be making a fool of myself in order to just connect, because people don't connect when they feel dumb around you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No one wants to be told they're stupid or dumb. And, you bring these things up in such a fun way. It's like, it's almost like you take the spotlight off of us while we're learning. Because a lot of times, if you've ever been in college classes, back in high school or wherever, maybe just out, you see some kind of presentation, you get talked down to a lot. You're told what to think, told how it goes, told this and that. This is A to Z. This is what you have to do. You have to follow it A to Z. Your presentation is more, okay, I'm going to do these wacky things. So, the person learning doesn't have to feel like they're in this position of, okay, it has to be this way because she's saying it. Right. Or we don't even have to feel embarrassed for not knowing. It's almost like you put this fun kind of, not embarrassing because it's funny. It could go either way. I think it could be really embarrassing. Either way.
Some people are like, cringe, stop moving. I can't pay attention to you. Stop. Like, you're fucking. People have that reaction, but that's okay. There's plenty of still people out there, so you can find them.
you can't catch all the fish in the sea.
Right.
You can't even with the biggest net, you're not going to get all the shrimp. But I think your style, especially for like a younger generation, even younger than, I don't go younger than 21 for my demographic or whatever demographics, whatever those are. But even like grade school kids would really get a lot out of that kind of presentation, that learning, that kind of teacher association, because you don't feel bad for what you don't know. You don't feel
Yeah.
bad, and bringing even out of that younger kids, even someone, I'm 35, and it connects with me too. It's like, I don't feel bad for what I haven't learned yet, or I don't feel stupid or shame, or it really gives me the openness to get away from those things that can really bog down your brain to think a little open and a little differently. It gets rid of that, and then it goes to, okay, what's she saying? Does it connect with me? It brings it to the next level. And I think that presentation is really funny too. And I think that funniness gets rid of that like awkwardness, almost that like you have to be, suit and tie kind of thing. Learn this now. Whereas, you're giving it in such a fun way, and it's real info. It's real truthful, and it's funny, and all connects. And that's what I like about you.
I mean, I
Sure.
really appreciate that. And I think, like, for me personally, it was interesting to be doing something on the internet that really no one else was doing. Like, I've never really seen anyone else do that. Like, someone's done it after me and I've been like tagged before, but I've never
Right.
really seen somebody do it. And that was where I was like, kind of like, oh, wow. Like, I'm doing like that to me
You
kind of like
are.
was mind blowing because so much is done on the internet. Like there's hardly anything that I could do on the internet that hasn't been done, especially on like Pornhub. Haha, just kidding. But
Uh,
like to do something that like felt kind of like really just something that I, even if someone else did that, they wouldn't be doing it the same way I was doing it anyway.
right.
So there was an interesting uniqueness. And then I think the thing that, um that like inspires me is that I don't know, I really believe that our way out of the apocalyptic kind of scenario that we're potentially in is not going to be through thinking our way out. I do believe it's going to be through feeling our way out. And I do
Mm.
believe it's going to come from joy. And I believe it's going to come from a place of gratitude and appreciation and positivity. I just don't think we're going to like fight our way out of dire circumstances. That just doesn't make sense to me. So what I'm trying to do is just exemplify, a way of being. And it's not the only way of being, obviously, but it's
Sure.
a way of being. And I think that if we all allow ourselves that kind of unabashed and unself-conscious expression of like joy, happy, playfulness, whatever, even when talking and thinking about fucking horrendous shit, I just think that that's a medicine.
It
It's a
is.
medicine.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. It is a medicine. It's just it's like an herb or a natural vitamin. It's like calcium or vitamin D. It's
Yeah, or yeah, like a
something you need.
magnesium.
Yeah, it's something that's in us all. Even the brutal, brash dictators that are out there. I'm sure they laugh too. Well, fuck them. But
They definitely
everyone
laugh. Yeah. And if they
everyone
laughed
has
more,
some
maybe they
upside.
would murder less,
That's what that's the knowledge we got to drop here on Blind Knowledge. That's what I'm talking about, Tony, for sure. And it's like, yeah, you give this wholesome kind of feel, and like the topics you push some interesting topics for sure. What are some of the ones that you've gotten the most positive feedback on, or maybe
I
the
think
most?
my most popular one, well, there was the one I did on the military, which like kind of had the most like a viral impact for me personally. But like my most popular one, I talked about my conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, that was
Um,
funny.
and the
So,
funny thing about that one was like my daughter had a cameo because she ended up fucking scaring the shit out of me. And like I didn't know she was behind me. And like so there was like that funny, like kind of comedic moment to that
that was
because
the first one I saw, actually. Yeah, I
oh
remember
yeah,
that.
and she fucking terrified me. So it was real. There was like this weird kind of thing where she just like, I'm talking about conspiracies, and then there's almost like there seemed to be this conspiracy behind me because you as the audience could see her walking behind me, but like
Yeah,
I
you didn't
so
even
it
know.
was funny. It was like art imitating life, imitating art, because the viewer knew something I didn't
Wow,
authentically. I didn't stage that, obviously,
that's great.
which it just happened to go with the topic about conspiracies. But that one was an interesting one because usually I like was a little more planned about what I was going to say, and like really kind of had more, because I did one about like I did one about World War II. I did one about I've done a bunch about capitalism. So like they're a little more like they're facts I want to remember and stuff. Like so I would have like notes. But that one was more just like an idea I had. I just wanted to share. So it's interesting how that one was I was the most relaxed, and that was the one where
That
like I think I
went
lost
pretty big.
years of my life.
It went pretty big though. I mean, I saw the numbers. It was big.
Yeah, that was a good
Hundreds
one.
of
That was a good one.
thousands of views and likes and shares, comments for days. People loving it. People not
Yeah, I think it
understanding
has like
it.
3.5 million on my page. So,
Woo. Nice.
but I think the thing about that one that like I liked is that both political parties could hear that one.
True.
And I'm really kind of like, I'm most interested in like who is coming to, like, I am like both, to me both parties are so, I'm so disheartened by
I am too. I hear you.
what's going on in terms of like the elite, 1% of
Where's the
our
representation? Where is the
where is it?
representation for
And
everybody
I
else?
really
People
believe
like
there
us.
has to be a merger of both parties. It has to happen.
I
And
agree.
like the way I see it, that's why racism, sexism, homophobia are so important to the status quo, is because that's what's keeping um, us apart. Like I really think that if we could heal the racial tension, the gender tension, and like the sexuality tension, that's the revolution that I'm looking for.
Oh
So
yeah. Hell
I
yeah.
really want to create conversations where both people who identify as whatever can kind of start finding that Venn diagram.
That's a good point. Yeah, the good old Venn diagram. Just
Yeah,
bring it
we
all.
have bring it all together.
Mm.
Bring it all together. It's just
Namaste.
so
Hell yeah.
namaste. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a little warrior poses in my day for sure. A couple actually I used to do this 20-minute cardio yoga with Tom, what was his name? Tom Morley. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a yoga guy.
No,
Great stuff.
cardio yoga though sounds good.
Yeah, it's some really good stuff. You said you own a dance studio, your own? What's
Yeah,
it
in
called?
Vermont.
Where's that?
Yeah.
Vermont. Okay. Is it the Tony Nagy studio?
No, it's I actually just got a new business partner. It's called Side Stream Studio. Like,
Side Stream Studio.
yeah,
Okay.
like off the mainstream. We're the
Side
side stream.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Simple and smart. That's what's up.
Yeah, because I think that like getting into our bodies is where we're going to do so much trauma, and so much mental suffering and psychological, emotional suffering is stored in the body. And so when we can
Mm.
start to connect to it and release it, it has major impact in your life.
Well, they
I
say
really do believe that.
there's different chakras in your
Oh,
body, or release energy,
mhm.
and your spine. What I've learned, because I had a and I still have a herniated disc, which will never heal, but you can keep it loose and whatever. Which is why I don't deadlift anymore, folks. No more cleaning for this guy. I was lifting big weights, but not anymore. That's okay though.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that stuff. And what I've learned is your spine, it actually syncs up to different organs and different processes in your body. So there's a part of your spine that lines up with your heart and your
Yep.
lungs, and there's a part of your spine that lines up with your stomach and your digestive system. So, and this is the awesome chiropractors I've been to, they've taught me that like when they do certain adjustments, it's actually supposed to open up these flows of processes and energy within your body. It seems like you're big on the yoga, and I have to get into this because it's just so funny. This chicken yoga thing. Why? How? Why? And how did it go?
So
Off.
so my friend had all these fucking chickens, and I was like, oh, I want to come over and make a video about chicken yoga. We had no plan. I was like, I'm just gonna come over and you're just gonna follow my lead, and she was like, okay.
That's how it
And
goes.
she was such a good sport about it. She's also a yogi, and she's actually my new business partner. She's awesome, and she's a comedian as well. But we just had so much fun because there was all the goat yoga, and I kept seeing videos of goat yoga. So I was like, oh, it'd be funny to kind of do a spoof and make it chicken yoga. Because I have to say, I think when you make fun of yourself, that's like the kind of the best comedy to do. So I'm such a new age yoga loving hippie kind of open-minded, open-hearted chick. I have to make fun of that, and also I love making fun of the concept of influencers. So it's like someone like having one thing and then completely switching on the other side of it. So like someone being like wanting to be the yoga person and disgusted by the chickens, like that to me is really funny.
Okay.
Chicken yoga really just was making me laugh as a concept. And then also just the irony of like what we're putting, it's like we're taking this like super sacred practice that as a Western white chick, am I ever going to understand yoga in its like nascent form? Like, I don't think so. I am experiencing a westernized version of something that I'm then broadcasting on the internet. So it's like how not to make fun of the contradictions and the complexity of that. Like, I love making fun of it, even though I love practicing it genuinely.
Yeah. So you're saying there's an American version of yoga versus the yoga version of yoga.
Oh, I mean, I think what's kind of interesting about yoga is that like yoga came from the East and then had this infiltration in the West. And then the West went back to India and influenced it in its own way. So there is like the traditional yogic, knowledge that exists. And then there's also the Western infiltration of it.
I had no idea.
They're copacetic in a certain sense, but I think what's kind of interesting about, most Western knowledge is that it does not honor the roots of where it came from. It's like everything that we're talking about. Like if I were an ancient Buddhist that like traveled in time 3,000 years, and then I heard like quantum physicists being like, yeah, have you heard everything's connected? I would be like, yes, I have, bitch. Have you not been fucking listening for 3,000 years?
String theory, motherfucker. Come on.
Like, we know it's connected, dude. Like, we've been saying it. And like so much of Western thought and math and science is just like directly taken from Africa, so it's like, I think there is this Western imperialism when it comes to knowledge and truth that's like actually existed since the Aboriginals and 50,000 years ago. I don't think we've learned anything in 50,000 years, to be honest. I think we've like made technology, but have we learned anything from a spiritual deep place more than like, I don't think so. I don't know, maybe, but I doubt it.
Good question.
I think we're still, I don't think
still trying to figure it out.
More tech.
Yeah, I can get down with that. Yeah, because what is to know is to be known, basically, and how much more do we have to learn? Sure, I mean, there's other things out there. We got to figure out, why. There's a lot of whys. Why are we still spinning out in a ball out in space? What's out there? What's even further than out there? There's always things we're gonna have to learn. But yeah, the basics, I think we all got that. I think it's just kind of we keep spinning it around to figure out which is the best way or which is the most prominent way. Like you look at dieting. Dieting, it used to be like Atkins. That's the way to go. Go Atkins. And then it was like, nope, Atkins sucks actually. Go with the one that Oprah was saying. I can't think of it off the top of my head. or slim fast. That was the thing for a little while. And then it's like,
Yep.
all right, now it's be a vegetarian. Now this new thing called veganism, be a vegan. Have you ever heard of kale? You probably haven't, but check it out. It's the new great thing. And it's like we keep evolving, keep evolving. But really what it comes down to is, it's less calories. What is it? Well, I shouldn't say it that way. It's actually, you take in less calories than you burn. You make sure you have a nutritious meals with the right vitamins, the right minerals, and you kind of just work to your physical nature, exercise, really. But we're just trying to find the right answer. We're trying now, diet now, do this way and that way, when really we know the answer. We're just trying to we're just making it more difficult than it really is. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think someone once said to me, because I've done a couple of 10-day silent meditation retreats, and I have a Buddhist meditation practice. And I think it was another practitioner when I was leaving the retreat, or it may have been one of the monks. They said that the most difficult thing about Buddhism is how simple it is. So, we have these actually, like, how do you love yourself? How do you be compassionate towards others? How do you be mindful? These are simple questions, and it will take a lifetime to explore. We are all connected. We are all one. Like, that's a very simple concept, but how often do you feel connected, or do you feel one with all things? And so, I mean, it's interesting you bring up the dieting aspect, because, our food is what you eat. Like, literally, you are consuming, you are bringing in into your body, and then your body is integrating the nutrition and the stuff you're bringing in. And
It affects what you do, your mood, it
and
affects
and how you think, and your
your
gut
think,
health.
your energy level, yeah, all that. Yeah, totally.
And what is the most, like, poisoned plant on the planet is our food, so it's like, oh, it feels so intentional. There are so many, I mean, I've gone into many a farming k-holes. I'm in a big farming land, and
Oh,
I
cool.
just, you keep going back to how, like, biodynamic organic farming, like, really using the least amount of chemicals humanly possible. Like, that is what's so important. And the vegan conversation is interesting, because it's like, some people, if you follow the eating by your blood type thing, it's like meat is maybe more important for their diet, but it's like, I never hear the conversation, or I very rarely hear the conversation is like, okay, like, if meat's very important for your diet, or if you feel much healthier, like, it's really important you have, like, organic meat, or where your meat's coming from, or you're not having, like, the processed meat that's coming from rainforests in Brazil. And, like, how often do you have to have meat? Maybe you want to have meat just, like, once a week or once a month, and that's going to be what your body needs. Like, I wish it wasn't so dogmatic around these conversations. Like, you're a vegan, or fuck you, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah,
Or it's
great.
like, oh, can you be, I mean, people are talking about it, but, like, more plant-based, and, like, you don't want to ingest a suffering animal. Instead, you want the animal to have had, like, a sacred life. And that, to me, is so much more of an interesting conversation than being super strict about one way of being exclusively, because then you're never going to get people on board. I think you
Mhm.
have to kind of have a flexible understanding, but the main thing we want to do is, like, be aware of the suffering that we're causing.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And that's another conversation that should be had. You don't have to be just vegan. You don't have to be just non-vegan. You can be
Right.
somewhere in the middle, I guess, maybe. Maybe you can have some fish. I don't know. I don't know if that's
Or
allowed
you
by
can
the.
have meat occasionally. Like, someone makes me meat, I'm going to eat it. And if I'm making my own food, I do not. And, like, that feels okay. I
Yeah.
had this, like, realization when I was at my meditation retreat, because you're silent and you're in your fucking head all the time. And then you would go to the dining hall, and the dining hall was the one time where I was happy, because I was fucking eating, and I wasn't dealing with, like, the torture of meditation all day. But then I would eat too fast, and I would eat too much, and I would always take too much. Like, I would look around, and everyone would have less than me, and I always had more. But then I was like, oh, well, I'm taller than these people, so I need to eat more. But then, and I move more. And then I'm like, but am I an ecological terrorist because I'm tall and I'm moving all the time? I eat so
Obviously,
much. I
obviously.
had so much like going on in my head around like, what am I supposed to be doing around food that makes sense? And like feeling really greedy, like always feeling kind of like, and I had this feeling like, I want to, and the food, keep in mind, it's not like you had like it was fine. It was just like rice and like some strange sort of like unidentifiable sea foam, but I just wanted it. I wanted it. I wanted to consume it. And then I realized after 11 fucking days, it took me 11 days to get to the realization that I was like, oh, I need to eat so that if everyone around me ate exactly as I did, there would be enough. And that
Interesting.
was like, oh,
Interesting.
okay. So it's like if we eat in a way where like if everyone had that same diet, that would be sustainable for the earth. That feels like a really groovy diet.
It does. That does. It feels natural. It
It
feels like the
feels
way to be.
right.
It feels
Yeah.
very, very peaceful for sure. Wow, so you do a lot. You do comedy. You're a farmer. You're a dancer. You're a mother. You are a Buddhist. It sounds. Are you a Buddhist or just kind
Yes.
of? You are a Buddhist.
No, I'm a Buddhist, which is like
Circle.
crazy to admit, but it's
Circle.
a philosophy that when I did these retreats, like you become a Buddhist. And
Mm,
I'm not really part of groups, but I'm like, I am a Buddhist. Like I got like a ceremony and
that's cool.
like
Cool.
yeah, it's interesting. It's like it's been 12 years, so I'm
Wow.
still learning so much. It's a lifetime of learning, but I
And that's
am
what it's
committed
all.
to the practice. Yeah.
That's what it's all about is learning. I think that if people in general just keep their minds open to learning more and even just digesting in some information, and you don't have to agree with all of it, but at least you know about it. At least you're aware that there are different perspectives, there are different views that you can look. You can take these different views and you can really learn and appreciate what's out there. And even if you don't agree, even if it's not your bag, it's just at least you're aware of it. And maybe you won't be so violent or just like violently headed where it's just like, no, it can't be this way. No, we must be Democrats. No, we must be Republican. And that's the only way to be. It's just like, well, especially in that space, those two things are basically the same at this point. And Tony, I
Yeah.
think we establish our own political philosophy. We can
Yeah, me too. Me
figure it
too.
out.
I'm
There
all
is
about the
there is a
third
pirate.
party, the next thing.
Yeah, the next one, exactly. I agree because not to get too much into politics, but we always can, and we can over here. We're over here blind knowledge. Actually, I can speak. I swear. I swear. But politics wise, I think we can get deep into that because I believe in, independence, and I think when you look at your Democrats and Republicans and the people that are actually in there pushing the buttons and putting in the votes, yeah, they're one and the same. They're all trying to make money off of stocks, as we've seen. If you've ever followed Nancy Pelosi's stock trading, which I have actually for like about less than a year now, it's getting more publicized. But she's making some big dough, and they're all making big dough. And
Oh
you got
yeah.
to wonder, more on that subject, but you got to wonder, is that because they're only making so much money as a salary that they feel they have to go almost out of bounds and play this stock game where obviously they're getting inside information. You're
Hmm.
seeing even the dates that they buy their stocks and then the dates where this public policy comes out. It's usually like 1 to 3 days beforehand. So
Uh-huh.
they know what's going on. They know what the deal is. And it's, it just seems that these elected officials that we rely on, we literally rely on them. It's not even like we look up to them, which is a whole nother conversation. We really should, but we don't. And it's there's a reason why, but we'll get into that some other day. But we look up to these folks, we rely on these folks, and it's like, what are they doing for us? What's really going on? What's really the agenda? Is it really big pharma? You know, is there a reason why marijuana hasn't been legalized, even though you got the dude, big Republican in the Senate? You have another guy, big Democrat in the Senate. They agree. Everyone agrees, but we just can't get things done, and it's just kind of sad. It perturbs me. I guess I'm perturbed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that if I were to make an analogy, if you're hanging out with someone and they're getting chocolate, and you're like, oh, that chocolate looks good. And they're like, oh, yeah, this chocolate is good. And they're just eating it in front of you. And then
Ooh, it is
you're like,
good.
eventually you're like, ugh, I want some. And I
Yeah.
think that when you look at
Mystery of the chocolate.
the mystery of chocolate, it's like being around vice and just watching someone experience that vice, and like, oh, you're watching someone, they're really having a great time with the chocolate. Like eventually you're going to be curious and you're going to want it. And I think that what happened with corporate influence in politics is that once it started taking place for one party, which was it kind of birthed itself, like the first like real intercourse that happened between corporations and politicians, then everyone is like, in order to compete with that, I have to also do that. I can't be completely outside of that and not participate. And I think that Bernie Sanders is one of the only modern politicians that proved, hey, I can actually financially compete in a campaign with small donations from people.
He
And
did.
that was such a revolutionary concept, which was why the Democrats ended up burying him. It wasn't the Republicans who buried Bernie Sanders. It
His
was the
own people.
Democrats.
It was his own party, and I think Bernie would be better off independent or like in a different party, not the Green Party, but maybe just something new, like the Stepladder Party or the Fluorescent Light Party or whatever the hell you want to.
Fluorescent light. I mean, I think when he first ran, it wasn't to win; it was to prove a point. And I think that the deluge of support that he got is indicative of just what is possible if you were to take corporate funding out of politics. But the reality is, as long as the right is being corporately funded, the left is going to be corporately funded as well, because there is this belief system that's the only way to compete.
And I think keep growing and growing.
They're entangled. And I think the other thing, what's interesting to me personally, is that everything that I think of, one party doing, like, oh, I remember like when Baby Bush got elected in 2000. Baby Bush, I remember believing like that was an illegitimate election, right? I was like, oh, something was really the hanging chads and the voting machines and Diebold being the company that makes ATMs. And so it's like, if you can make an ATM, you can make a functioning voting machine, and you can also give people a fucking receipt. Like it was so obvious there was like voting tomfoolery happening. But if I'm going to see it in that election, I have to actually see it in every single election.
Right.
And if I'm going to look at the George Floyd protests and be like, oh, wow, there are obviously agent provocateurs here that are creating scenarios where it looks like a riot. But that also was happening with the Capitol storming. There was agent provocateurs. Like it's happening all the time with both parties constantly. And like, but the thing is that it's easier to see it with the people you don't agree with as much than it is to see it with your own party. And I think that's what's kind of the thing, that is, you want to be a good guy, or you want to be affiliated with the good guys. And then more and more you're like, fuck, there are no fucking good guys.
Right. Who is the good guy?
Who's the fucking good guy? Everyone's Darth Vader? Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
What the actual fuck?
We're Luke Skywalker over here. The Luke Skywalker party. Maybe that's the one.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Everyone's the same. They're all working together.
All pedophiles. I believe that the pedophiles happening all over the place. The whole Jeffrey Epstein's thing. And the fact that that is not, it's like, oopsie doopsie. Well, now his girlfriend is in jail. Like, can I just say the fact that a woman is taking the fall
The fall.
is just, if that's not an example of global misogyny, I don't know what is. Not to say that she's not guilty of something, but we all know Jeffrey Epstein's still alive. He's has a new island and a new face, and he's got all the money in the world. And like, then this girl is gonna rot in prison. Like, I'm like, or she's gonna die. I doubt it. I think she's gonna be the scapegoat. You know,
But you got Prince Andrew still out there. You got Big
Prince
Willie.
Andrew's still out there.
I'm not going to say his real name because I'll get taken out like everyone else. But Big Willie, he was a president at one point.
Yeah,
his name is out there.
His name's definitely out there, and his name has been out there for years. I mean, I heard about this for a long time ago, and I knew girls that were on. Like, I had a friend who was almost on one of those planes. Like, I knew girls that were being recruited to be on those planes and to be on like part of that. Like, that's not like something like, wait, what? No, that was happening, and that's been happening, and it was part of the, you know, like, young girls in New York knew about that.
Yeah,
you know, so
didn't they get paid?
The girls? Yeah. I mean, they're sex slaves.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. they're and some of them are forced into it. I mean, they're young. They're young girls, you know, like there's no consent when you have a young girl in that circumstance, regardless of whether or not you're paying her, you know. Like,
oh no, I'm not bringing it up to. It's an awful, disgusting act either way. First of all,
yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, how did they rope them in? Like, what was the big? Because they're
I think like a lot of them are drugged. You know, and like, yeah, you're drugged a lot. Like, you're given drugs, and then you are, you know, it's like I'm sure there is like some financial exchange because you have to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
But even if you talked, no one's going to believe you. I mean, I remember, you know, like there's so many, and there's also like the MK Ultra mind control where you are just brainwashed into being like a government drone sex slave. And then of course there's like the priests and all. I mean, there's we could go on a whole tangent of like poor and like, where did all those kids go that were taken from their parents at the border?
Yeah, what happened
to those kids? Those are now they're probably sex trafficked children. You know, it's like everyone's involved in that. Both parties are equally involved, and we're like, oh, and I just think that should be the deal breaker. I think the whole sex trade thing should be the deal breaker when it comes to like our political system, and yet it's like actually not.
You'd think so. Now it's out there like it's fucking regular, and it's disgusting, and it's
almost like, the Jeffrey Epstein almost normalized it. That's what's so messed up.
Was it that, or was it because the media kept talking about it in these soft ways? Because, and I'm not like a big conspiracy guy at all, but I do understand facts and who owns what. And Republican, Democrat, Orange Party, you can call yourself the Monster Energy Party if you want. There's so many tentacles. It's like this big octopus. You know, there's only three that own the big media in the United States. There's only three. If you look at the charts and, you know, this monstrosity of companies that own companies, there's only three.
Yeah.
They're all getting money. They're all getting paid from Democrats and Republicans and people that aren't even in politics. And I think personally, it's this media, you know, cycling every 2 or 3 weeks. We get this new story and we're all big on that. And then we just kind of forget. Because we're on to the next big thing. And it's usually never the most positive thing either. It's always these big, you know, radical things, or war, or murder, or rape. And it's these horrible, horrible things that you really wouldn't want to think about on a daily basis. But yet here we are. But we're not talking about where, you know, a couple weeks ago, someone was just cured of leukemia. You know, where's that news story? I had to search for that somewhere. Sometimes I have to go to the UK on Daily Mail, you know, not the greatest place, but to get US news. It's almost like we are only allowed to hear and see certain things that are presented, and what's presented is actually allowed, given permission by us to learn about, that permission is granted by these bigwigs that are paying the news. So I just think it's this huge cycle, this huge ladder formation almost, that really needs to be looked into more. And also bring it back to what you said before. You have these companies that are basically, they're funding these politicians. And not too long ago, companies in special interests, aren't they now considered people? They're considered like a voter.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What the
Individuals,
fuck?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense at all, because then you're just opening the floodgates for just constant money being thrown at you from all angles. There's no recourse. There's no one watching over this, and it could get sad if we don't turn it around. But I think comedians like yourself and talented folks, and you're keeping it light, you're keeping it informative. We're learning and we're growing and we're having these conversations, and you're allowing us to have the conversation because you present it in a fun, funny way, lighthearted. It's like, all right, maybe I'll feel more comfortable to leave a comment and say, wow, that sucked. Or wow, that was great, and then that opens up a dialogue and discussion. I think that's the best way to learn and grow and evolve. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that.
Right on. Well, we are already at an hour and a half, Tony. I think we should call it. I bet you have things to do. Namaste, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, totally. Thank you for having me.
We have to do it again sometime. Maybe we could do a little series on just things in the world that should change. Something
things
like
in the
that.
world that should change.
Yeah. Something like that. Hey, yo, this is Tony Nagy. My name is Joey B. Thank you so much for joining us on this featured edition of Blind Knowledge. Check us out at blindknowledge.com. You can find Tony Nagy. Oh, and before we go, Tony, interesting name, by the way.
Oh, I know. It's Antonia, but it's such a formal name.
So
I've
cool.
never been known as that. I've always been a Tony.
Antonia, to the front desk, please. Antonia.
I know,
to the
like
front
Antonia. Would you like another cappuccino?
Would you like some champagne, Antonia? That's cool as hell. Tony Nagy, check her out. She's on YouTube. She's a YouTube sensation, Tony.Nagy. She's also on Instagram, just at Tony Nagy, TONINAGY. That's TONINIGY. Tony, thank you so much for joining me. Hope to have you on again, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And
you too. Have a great day.
All love, dude. It's all love. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, y'all. That was Tony Nagy spending some time with me over here just shooting the shit. That was just another interview. That's what we do, y'all. That's what we do. This is a feature presentation of Blind Knowledge, blindknowledge.com. You can check us out. We're on Twitter at blind_knowledge. We are on Instagram at The Blind Knowledge. We're on TikTok at The Blind Knowledge. I'm getting a call from my web developer, so hopefully the site is up and running at this point. But if not, just keep hitting that refresh button, and I swear it will pop up eventually. And this concludes another sweet edition of the interview series here at Blind Knowledge. My name is Joey B. Thanks a lot for your love and support. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.